What's up, Stitches? Welcome to the Ranney Knits podcast. This is my podcast all about the things I'm making with my hands and yarn. My name is Justine and I am a knitter and a generally crafty lady. Thanks for tuning in. I have completely forgotten anything else that I say in my intro, but that's how we're gonna do it. Thanks for tuning in. This is a little bit different for me because I recorded only 1 week ago. I usually go every other week, but I have some stuff I want to talk about. I'm kind of we're testing it out. We're gonna see how this weekly thing goes, just to condense my episodes a little bit. So welcome, thank you for tuning in, and I have knitting that I want to talk to you about, so let's just dive right in. I am wearing my Aya tank top today by, her name is Ranney Knits on Instagram, and Ravelry, Gabrielle Vizina, maybe, perhaps. Anyway, Aya tank top. Showed this to you last week. I knit this with Knit Picks Shine Sport in the cream colorway. I wasn't wearing it last week because it was still blocking, but I have been wearing this a lot since then. Yeah, super simple, easy breezy. I said that last week too, and I don't know where that comes from, but I mean, besides like obviously CoverGirl, but I don't know why I've decided to start saying it. Anyway, I knit this because it was warm outside when I got back from Alaska, and I wanted something to wear when it was warm, but also still knitting. That didn't make any sense. I wanted some knitwear to wear while it was still warm. Words, Justine, like I said. Or maybe not like I said, because I probably cut that part out, but I haven't talked yet today, so yes, Aya tank top. I will show you the back. It's a little bit higher in the back, and I think I may have made the straps, pretty sure I made the straps exactly as how they were written in the pattern. Hello! I forgot last week to mention that in addition to cutting out the garter, I don't know what to call those, garter stripes, garter seams, I don't really know. There's a garter, again, don't know what to call it, but a garter panel, I guess, running down the side as written in the pattern that I eliminated. I didn't do it. And also I cut out probably maybe an inch or two from the length of the pattern. As written, it was supposed to be a tiny bit longer, but because I'm knitting this with cotton, I know cotton stretches. I don't have a lot of experience with cotton, but I've learned from other people's mistakes that if you're knitting something with cotton, it will stretch. So I cut that out. There is optional, there's optional waist shaping in here, and I chose to do that. So I've got waist shaping, and I started this bottom lace tab right after I finished the waist shaping. So it does kind of fan out a little bit down here, which I don't really hate. I think it depends on your body type and your preference whether you would want a top like this that fans out a little bit. If I had knit the garment as written and added that extra, I don't know how much it was. I think mine after I was done knitting the waist shaping was 12 inches from the underarm to the end. and that's not including this little last lace bit here. So I think if I had knit a little bit further, then that flare wouldn't be so pronounced, but it works for me, it's fine, it doesn't bother me. But if that would be something that you wouldn't want, because it does kind of make your hips look a little bit bigger with that flare, and if that's something that you didn't want, I would not recommend knitting this the way I knit it. I would recommend adding a little bit of length, or doing the waist shaping higher, or not doing the waist shaping at all. But everybody's different, everybody's body is different, everybody's preference for how they want their clothing to fit is different, and that's what I like about knitting, and that's a big part of the reason why I like knitting is for the customization. I mean, I like the process as well, but I'm a product knitter. I'm a product knitter at my core, and yeah, I just like being able to have things exactly how I want them. And I suppose that is a good segue into my next project, having something exactly how I want it. I completely forgot, so the other reason, these are, and it doesn't matter how much I plan, it doesn't matter how well my show notes are written out, I will forget something, because I think what happened last week is, especially because it was my first week back, I got really nervous, and I'm still nervous in case you can't tell, I'm stuttering all over the place, but I totally forgot half of what I meant to talk to you about. So in that vein, before I go on to my next project, and now my segue is just gone, I mentioned a giveaway last week, and that is another reason why I'm recording this week. I am going to talk about that giveaway. Stay tuned until the end of the episode because you don't want to miss it. I mentioned last week that I was going to start the V-back tee by somebody, and I did. So, like I was saying, when I am making something, I want it to be exactly how I want it. And sometimes my idea for how the yarn and the pattern are going to work together turns out great. For example, this top. This top looks exactly how I envisioned it when I decided to use this yarn and this pattern together, and that's great. It's awesome when it turns out like that. Sometimes it doesn't. Case in point. So this is my V-back tee that I started last week. I showed you totally different colors when I was planning it. So I've gotten a good chunk of this done, and I was very excited to be knitting this. It's a super fun pattern to knit. It's interesting, it's got some interesting shaping going on, and I very much enjoy working on this top. However, these colors just aren't working for me. So, my battery died. We're taking a field trip to the rose garden. What can you do? I did forget to bring knitting though. Oh, fail. I hope you enjoyed that field trip. It was nice to get outside, but now my energy levels have reduced significantly. Let's just crack on. Okay, so I was talking about the VBAC tee by, oh my gosh, I looked up her name and thought I was gonna be all like, yeah, I know her name. Jamie Hoffman, the VBAC tee. So this is where I am with this, and I think I managed to fix my color issue. Last week I had yarn that was showing up like crazy colors, but this is, yeah, this looks good. Okay. I was talking about getting things exactly the way I want them. And like I said last week, I've never done a fade. So where you have two similar colors and you work one into the other one, fading a la many of Andrea Mowry's patterns, and it's been popular for a while. The fade, the Find Your Fade shawl, it came out before I was really into the whole like online Instagram. I had a Ravelry account, but I didn't really find my knitting patterns through Instagram like I do now, so kind of missed the whole like rage, the fade rage. I don't know what a fade rage is. You know, the fad, the fade fad. And I don't think it's died out. I think, I know, like, for example, Joji Locatelli, I just saw she's coming out with a faded sweater that looks very interesting. Anyway, I'm rambling. I've never done a fade before, so I thought I'd try. But I am working from stash, and that limits you a lot. So you can definitely find a fade from your stash, I guess depending on what your stash looks like. But I think I have, especially after the last, I've kind of been working from stash for the last 7 months, maybe? Maybe even longer than that. I have bought yarn this year, but I think November was really the last time I bought any kind of yarn. Anyway, I put these colors together. This is not what I showed you last time, which was starting with this light gray. This is Knit Stroll Tonal in the pearlescent color. I had paired that with this, well, I had intended to pair it with the more Knit Stroll Tonal, and then there was another Knit colorway that I was going to put on the bottom, but I started playing with colors and I found this one. Ooh, there we go, there's some color in it, and this one, and I thought that would work well with this guy, because this one has like the light colors and faded into this one, and yeah, you know how fade works. What I discovered was, though this pearlescent colorway has sort of similar colors, the tone on this one, tone, hue, I think the word I want is tone, but I'm not positive. Anyways, the overall underlying colors on this pearlescent colorway are a lot warmer than the colors in this one. This is a, I think it's an Araucania, maybe? I don't know, I picked this one up a while ago. But this has like a very bright white base, and then it's like a natural base, and then it's got excuse me, it's got all these speckles on it. Whereas this base is more creamy with gray kind of stripy bits to it. It's tonal, but because it's a commercially dyed yarn, it's not got that hand-dyed kind of imperfectness that makes fading with hand-dyed yarns so perfect. It's imperfect, so it's perfect. What I'm trying to get at here is I think that this top color is a little bit too warm to fade with this bottom color. And it's fine, and especially on camera it looks quite nice. And actually I have taken this off the main needles. I still have needles where I separated for the sleeves, but the main part is not on needles anymore. So I'm not feeling these two colors together. It's not working for me. It's wasn't, and I don't mind, like, if this one was lighter, if this one had like a cooler tone and had more of a bright white base to it, I think I would love this, but it's just not quite there. And that's what's going to happen when you're trying to work with stash, because it's like the colors aren't going to be quite perfect. But this yarn was originally supposed to be a pair of socks for Mr. Ranney Knits, and he wasn't very happy to see that I had put it in a sweater. I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot of control over what I do with yarn, but he was kind of a little bit bummed because he liked these colors when I brought this home, and I didn't originally have a plan for it, so I said, sure, I'll make you a pair of socks out of it one of these days. So it's got some fun colors in it, and it's gonna make a cool pair of socks. This is how it is working up there. And that's, so I don't know if it comes across quite as different on camera, but you can kind of see that cream is just a little bit too yellow for me for this to work. It's cool. It's kind of neat, but I would rather use this yarn for a different project. I still haven't 100% decided if I'm going to keep the top white part and maybe try fading in that original color that was this one, which I do have another skein of. While I'm still debating on what I'm going to do with that one, I will frog the Araucania speckle yarn out, but we'll see what happens with the pearlescent top. I started another V-back tee, and this one was more just, I don't know, this one is more just an experiment. I don't know if this one will work either. Fading is a trick, and fading from a stash that doesn't have a whole lot of similar colors is it's an interesting experiment, and that's kind of what I'm looking and that's kind of what I'm seeing this one as. It's an experiment. It may turn into a top one day, it may not. I don't know. So this, I don't know what this is, this top part yarn. It's a partial skein from somewhere. It's pretty old, but I just have a little bit left. I'm measuring it to see how far I can get, but then I am fading in. This is a Nano Stitch Lab yarn, and the colorway is 13th Doctor. So I bought this back in November, and I made a pair of socks out of it, and this is my leftovers. So I thought these have similar colors in them. This blue is the blue in this one is very close to this blue, so I just thought I would give it a shot. I didn't swatch, I didn't really even think about it, I just kind of started. And so this Nano Stitch Lab is kind of a micro stripe. I made the speckled space socks out of it. So that's what that looks like. And you just get just teeny tiny stripes. Which turns out doesn't work so well when you're trying to fade, because then you get micro stripes in your fade, but then the rest is just like this part, you can't tell that there's anything, so it's an experiment. I don't know how it'll go. I will probably end up ripping this one back as well, but I kind of just wanted to see what would happen. Because that's kind of the beauty with yarn, you never know. It might be amazing, but it also might, you know, not look so great. So that's where I am with this one, and yeah, we shall see. We shall see what happens with this one. So I talked about the River shawl last week. This is River by Sylvia McFadden. But I forgot to mention almost everything that I planned on talking about with this shawl. I mentioned that I started it in April of not this year but last year, but that's about all I got through. So I started this pretty soon after I knit Sylvia McFadden's Waiting for Rain, which is a gorgeous pattern, and I loved knitting it. It's got those lace short rows, super cool. I'm pretty sure she was the first one to do that, so that's it's like a really interesting knit. Then she came out with this one, which was offered as a free pattern, I think, for a little while. I think it's a paid for pattern now, I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, it was right after I had knit her Waiting for Rain shawl and really enjoyed it, so I picked up this one and kind of just started in. I thought, oh, I've knit but like 2 shawls, so I'm a pro now, and I can totally do this without like really planning. So this was before I swatched anything, and I probably still would not swatch for a shawl, let's just be honest, because it's a shawl. But the Waiting for Rain shawl that I knit, and actually I knit Waiting for Rain with the Knit Pick Stroll tonal in this pearlescent color and their Thunderhead color. Fun fact, that's how long I've been knitting with Knit Pick Stroll tonal. Like 2.5 years. So, because that one was a fingering weight shawl, I just assumed that this one was also a fingering weight shawl. And I probably got to about, I want to say about here, I'm guessing. It took me this long to figure out that I was knitting it in the wrong weight. I think River is a DK. I don't think it's worsted, but I think it's DK weight. It's meant for DK weight yarn. And I just went ahead and cast on with a fingering weight yarn. Which I think I realized when I was here and I was midway through the pattern, and that's not enough for half a shawl. So rather than frogging, I decided to make it up as I go and add more rows and just continue on, because it is a shawl you can just continue on, and when you're done you bind off. So I figured I've got yarn, I can make it work. So I've got yarn, I can make it work. Story of my life. So I'm just kind of making this up. I I've got the shaping, so she's got, you know, shaping on each side to make it this shape. So it is kind of, it's an asymmetrical, and it's meant to be asymmetrical, but I don't know if it's quite meant to be this asymmetrical. There's a lot more length on this side. And I think actually the DK weight version is supposed to be about this length. So I've gone considerably further than as it is written in the pattern. I've got a lot more stitches, obviously, because I'm knitting and fingering weight. And I think this is about, you can't really see it, but it's about the same as my wingspan, and I think that's kind of how the pictures look. That's about how long it's supposed to be. And it is like, it's an okay length at this point to be a scarf. I would wear it like this as a scarf. So I figure I'll just keep going until I run out of yarn. And that is what I forgot to include in my discussion of this shawl last week. Yeah, I haven't made any progress on it, but we'll see. We'll see if any more progress gets made on that in the next week or two. I have, oh wow, I just noticed that there is a big scratch on my arm. I may have gotten that while sitting in the roses, but that's cute. So I swatched for another sweater. So yes, I have two of the same pattern tops on the needles right now, but I couldn't help myself. I swatched for the My pullover, M-A-I pullover, and yeah, I just love a colorwork sweater, and this pattern makes me really happy. The whole pullover is so cute, and with the pattern's a little bit, well, it's not that much more expensive than normal patterns. I think it's like $7 or $8. It's in Canadian, so it's 10 Canadian dollars, so whatever that translates to US dollars. Or if you're in Canada, it's 10 Canadian dollars. But it comes with, but with your purchase you get an adult version and a child version. And it's got really like intricate, crazy color work, umbrellas, boots, little lightning bolts, clouds. It's really, really cute, and I highly recommend you go check that out. This is my little swatch. I was just playing with colors. These are all from Stash, obviously. The blue and the pink I originally bought. I did buy those this year. I bought them with the Silipila. It's the Caitlin Hunter one that she came out with in June or maybe May. And I thought I was going to make that sweater with these colors, but kind of fell out of love with them together on their own. But I think they look great in a color work. So that is that swatch. I think I need a new set of needles before I get started on that one. I don't have any US size 3 needles, which I've been meaning to pick up, so I should get those. Okay, you have been very, very patient with me, and I really appreciate that, because I feel like the last 20 minutes or so I've kind of been a little out of it. So hopefully I can edit around that and not make it so obvious how freaking tired I am. I read Lord of the Rings, the Lord of the Rings trilogy this summer. It was the first time I read it. I've watched the movies a million times, but I had never read the books, which I don't like that because I like reading books, and I'm having trouble saying that I'm a big book reader because I go through phases, and but especially in the summer I read a lot of books, but knitting has kind of gotten in the way of my book reading. But anyway, I learned that it is a Hobbit tradition to give gifts on one's birthday, rather than everybody giving you presents. You give everybody presents, and my birthday is coming up. It is next week, so I thought it would be kind of fun to do a little giveaway for my birthday. So what I have is a set of stitch markers, and these are wire wrapped stitch markers that I have made using wire, obviously, and natural stone beads. I can't remember what these green ones are. The white are howlite, and they are like a marbled white and gray and black. And I also have a set of orange. This is not the nicest way to display these, but when I put them on cards they get really noisy. And I sell these in my Etsy shop. These are a set of 10 stitch markers. So what I thought I would do, because it's my birthday and because you are all my friends, I would do a little giveaway on the channel. So I'm going to let the winner choose which set they want out of these three. If you would like close-up photos of them, you can always head over to my Etsy shop. So all you have to do to win a set of these stitch markers is comment below. If you are on YouTube, in the comments section, tell me your favorite birthday tradition, or just wish me a happy birthday. I won't say no to that. Go ahead. And I will draw a winner for that next time I podcast, which may be in a week, maybe in 2 weeks. We'll see how this goes. But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate you guys for watching and sticking with me, and I love you, and I will see you next time. You're friendly.